For starting a magnificent location. I would have never thought to hold a speech in a church on crypto, so well done, guys. And hello, everyone. My name is Pietro Rossetto. I am a trainee lawyer at a law firm called Gianni & Origoni. I am part of the financial markets department, so we assist bank, credit institution, financial institutions and investment funds for all their operations on financial markets. Today I would like to talk to you about the merge that's happening right now between traditional finance and decentralized finance with the aim of discovering what institutional DeFi is. So how big banks and players in the credit institution environment are approaching their the DeFi. So let's just say that at least thanks to the MiCAR classification, we now have the MiCAR regulation, sorry, we now have a clearer framework to operate within. We know that there are some tokens that can be issued and can be classified as not crypto assets. We know that thanks to the MiCAR, we have tokens like electronic money tokens and asset reference tokens that are, well, they have to follow and be authorized under MiCAR. And for the last part, the one we are going to be focused on today, is tokens that share the, that are qualified as financial instruments. So typically, these tokens have a series of requisites to follow, which are displayed actually in the slide. So starting from this point, let's see how traditional finance actually is built. So traditional finance has the goal of maintaining financial stability throughout the region and protect investors. In doing so, traditional finance operates under the control of central authorities, uses intermediaries, and not every financial product is available to everyone. This is because of investor protection, and there is the classification between professional investors versus retail investors. So all this goal is also achieved thanks to a really heavy regulation and that foster trust in the financial system. What we have with the DeFi, on the other hand, is decentralization at its core. So we remove central authorities. Smart contracts are the pillars of DeFi. They can act as a custodian of digital assets and enforcer of agreements, even being dispenser of rewards and dividends when we are talking about financial products. DeFi is, of course, borderless, so it can be multi-jurisdiction, and its main benefit in terms of efficiency are instant settlement, 24/7 availability on trades, and lower fees, of course, thanks to the elimination of intermediaries. Another main feature that differentiates DeFi and TradFi is the custody. So in traditional finance, we have authorized entities that can act as custodians, while in DeFi, we have self-hosted wallets. I'll just say that, for example, when we're talking about settlement, so efficiency, there's a new regulation that's taken in place next year that will have all the payment service providers comply with 24/7, 365 asset tradability. So one of the main features of DeFi right now, which is instant settlement, is going to be performed by also traditional finance. So the bridge between DeFi and traditional finance is based on tokenization, specifically real-world asset tokenization. I'm not going to focus on what is real-world asset tokenization right now, because our main focus is tokenized financial assets, so bonds, stocks, investment funds. So this is an overview of what traditional finance and decentralized finance is. Let's see now how these firms are entering the DeFi. So basically, we can safely say that when DeFi was born, financial intermediaries and traditional institutions have been experimenting soon, often on permissioned blockchains. So they started a lot of pilot projects on permissioned blockchains, and only now, or at least 1 year ago, we see these traditional firms entering the space. And what they've been doing basically is deploying, for example, I think we all know BUIDL, the BlackRock liquidity fund deployed on the EVM ecosystem, which has just surpassed 500 million in market cap last month. What we see right now is that traditional firms are tokenizing assets that they already know what they are. So mainly what we see here is the tokenization of US Treasury bills. We focused on deposit tokens, stablecoin, and investment funds as some assets that traditional finance is focusing on. So deposit tokens is a financial product whose function is to manage savings and provides a return on the sum that are deposited. Traditional finance is willing to tokenize deposit tokens, basically because in terms of the differences between deposit tokens and stable coins, it allows them to free more capital in terms of the reserves that the banks have to have in order to issue this product. This is because while stable coins reserves have to be really high, being a new product, deposit tokens, since are just basically tokenized deposit accounts, see less reserves to be implied in the activity. So, for example, if the bank has to loan $100 million, doing it in stable coins will cost 20 million in reserves. Doing it in deposit tokens is going to cost 15 million. So you have 5 million of capital to be freed and invest in other products. In terms of stable coins, traditional institutions and banks have teamed up in creating, in exploring how stable coins can work together. Mainly, the most common feature is being here. You can see the Project Pax, for example. It's a consortium of 3 Japanese banks that uses stable coins essentially to cut the intermediaries at its center. So there is an integration with the SWIFT ecosystem, and it's possible to trade without intermediaries, essentially lowering the fees. In terms of investment funds, on the other hand, we have the possibility to tokenize exchange-traded funds, so tokens that represent fund shares, or go fully on-chain with, for example, BUIDL and Franklin Templeton's FOBs. So these the tokenized investment funds can be deployed in different ways, and they share different characteristics in terms of, for example, the use of intermediaries and the transparency requirements. In the EU, if an alternative investment fund manager wants to tokenize assets and invest in these assets, it has to obtain a double license. One under the AFMD directive, which regulates the deployment of alternative investment funds and the rules of concentration among funds and concentration among funds and the investment activity, and the other one because of the issuing of crypto assets under MiCA. So these projects, this pilot project that we have seen on deposit token, investment funds, and stable coins, essentially sum up as something that the traditional finance institution are being calling institutional DeFi, which is basically the entrance of large financial groups in decentralized finance. It's based on real-world asset tokenization, so the representation of traditional finance assets on a blockchain. It needs to have an enhanced security compliance in terms of differences with DeFi. So there is the need to enforce KYC and AML regulation, and the goal is to offer the benefits of DeFi in terms of efficiency and automation and transparency to the traditional financial system. So let's end with to wrap up this pitch. Let's end with the differences between traditional finance, decentralized finance, and what is called institutional DeFi. So institutional DeFi can trade both fiat and tokens versus tokenized financial products. The infrastructure is decentralized with the possibility of multi-jurisdiction and cooperation among states. We are seeing right now also layer 3s that are becoming GDPR compliant for the usage only on European soil. In terms of management, we have centralized entities and a supervisory authority is present. One of the main issue and challenges for the institutional DeFi to happen is the link of addresses to a digital identity. So KYC can be performed safely. The custody is done by authorized entities, and the main benefit of institutional DeFi is on settlements efficiency. So we have instant settlement, 24/7 availability, also outside of working hours, and should be low, but can be higher transaction costs. So what we see right here is an expression, institutional DeFi, created by financial institutions. Since, though, the main features of DeFi are abandoned in what is called institutional DeFi, because you have KYC, because you have centralization, the decentralization of DeFi is not present anymore. So I would argue, I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but what is called institutional DeFi right now is probably something more of tokenized traditional finance, because we are actually losing the main features of decentralized finance. So this is it. I think, I hope I introduced you to the world of how big firms are entering the space in DeFi. And if you have any questions, I'm here available for you, or you can come to our offices and just have a chat. And so thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Pietro. So we have a few minutes for a few questions, so please feel free, raise your hand, and we will reply to them. Okay.
Okay, first of all, you are the first lawyer that really understands real-world asset.
Thank you.
Because usually, I mean, what's your thought about the main emerging trends, which are the monetary market funds, actually, in the institutional DeFi space? So how do you see the evolution of monetary market funds as a way of, let's say, investment in other tokens? So what are the regulatory constraints to match native tokenized funds with a classical one? Because we know that there are many different things with respect to an interest-bearing stablecoin and a monetary market funds. Because we see a lot of things in the industry, right? So.
Yeah. So the point, I mean, thank you for your question. What we see is that, of course, the regulatory constraints depends on what the underlying assets are. And in terms of investment funds, for example, we have the difference between UCITS investment fund and the AFMD ones. As I said before, for example, if we actually work more with alternative investment funds, and when an AFM operator wants to tokenize these kind of assets, you need to have, for example, a double authorization coming from two different authorities. So in terms of what's going to happen in the future, I'm not going to well, actually I don't know, of course, but what we see is a growing interest, of course, of this traditional finance institution to understand the DeFi, but not to embrace it completely. So still right now, I mean, the main features that are being embraced by traditional finance are the one focusing on efficiency of settlements. So yeah, that's, hope I answered your questions.
Yes, we have another question.
Hi. Very quick question. You mentioned earlier that we're losing some parts of the DeFi aspects.
Yeah.
How do you feel institutional aspects getting into DeFi will pan out in the near future? Will we be losing DeFi in itself and it will be phased out by TradFi getting into blockchain? Or do you envision something different?
So I'll answer with my... Yes, actually, it's a really important question you've asked. The point is also already with MiCA, with the MiCA regulation, we are seeing the DeFi being pushed to the edges. So the point is when these big actors come into the DeFi space, as of these days, they don't have the interest, as far as my experience goes, to embrace DeFi. So I don't want to be to make a wrongful comparison here, but I think that DeFi can be what Telegram now is for social media, right? So it's the only difference is you don't have Pavel to arrest here, you know. So that's my opinion as far as I have seen with the attitude of traditional finance firms coming into DeFi. DeFi will be, of course, freed, and it's accessible to everyone. But in terms of a user experience and trust with authorities and financial operators, I think tokenized traditional finance is going to have a big impact on what is DeFi right now.
Thank you very much, Pietro. Thanks again. Wonderful. And yeah, let's bring a big applause.